All right, greetings everyone. We are back with I Was a Teenage Exocolonist, live from internetland. It's the Fiasco Joe Show with your host, Fiasco Joe. That's me. Let's load in. Let's see, where are we? Day 5 was where we were at. All right. Now, let's see. Okay, my guy is in a good mood because I just rested over glow season. Alright. Oh, look at us. We are now early teenagers. How old am I? I'm age 14. So everybody looks different. Let's go talk to everybody. Anemone grabs you by the shoulders. Solane, you gotta help me, she says urgently. Mom keeps talking about how we're all gonna have to start having babies, and she gets this look about her. I don't want to have any scungy babies. Anemone shudders with her whole body. Why'd I gotta be in a girl body anyway? I'm tougher and stronger than lots of boys. No one's telling them they gotta have babies. And I could say you want to train together. I don't want to do that. Alright, we're done here. Anemone doesn't want to have babies, and she doesn't like being trapped in a girl's body. Tang is tapping away at a hollow screen, smiling to herself. Great news, Solane, she says. According to the antiquated, culturally insensitive reckoning of mental prowess once used by humans on Earth, and by that I mean IQ testing, I am officially considered a genius. She shrugged. Tell me something I don't know. Great. Great, Tangent. You're a genius. Is the Dis? You catch Dis scrolling through his hollow palm. I used to watch a lot of videos, he says, frowning. I don't know why. It's all garbage. Who cares about this stuff? It's not real. This gestures to the wilderness. That's for real. Okay, Dis. Let's talk to Cal. You spot Cal kneeling in the dirt, digging up root vegetables and frowning. They're so small this year, he says, holding one up and examining it. Maybe there's just not enough nutrients in the soil. Is it something we're doing wrong? Let's see. Radioactive plant. Counts for 8. Wow. Cal is looking a little sickly. Well, I found this really pretty flower growing in the garden. I've never seen it before. You take a look at it and soon begin to feel sick yourself. Wait, is this plant radioactive? What? It's radioactive, Cal says, backing up quickly. Good thing you know that. What do we do? You're not sure. But if you studied in the geoponics lab, you might be able to figure out how to neutralize the radiation. I'm keeping it. It's worth 8. What do you think of my hair? Mars asks, fiddling with the end of one of the twists. I see you eyeing it. I'm growing it out. She sighs and buries her face in her hands. It's so boring here. I am literally watching my hair grow. Alright. I think that's everybody. Oh, I need to talk to my parents too, I guess. Talk to my mama. Governor Udicott is here, frowning over a hollow screen with your mother. It has a lot of numbers on it and charts that point downwards. Your mom looks up and dismisses the screen. Do you need something, Solane? Huh. Charts that point downwards. Let's talk to Dad. Your dad is watching your mom work. You can practically see the hearts in his eyes. Your mom's an incredible lady, he says dreamily. True love is hurtling yourself into space with someone and hoping for the best for your children. Ew, Dad, gross. Let's see. Help him with the animals. Sure, we'll help him with the animals. Your dad is working with the float cows. One of them is sick and isn't producing enough urine as ballast, and it keeps wanting to float away. Your dad is building a spike so that he can tie her down until she feels better. I got +1 to animals. You hold on to the leash, feeling like a little kid with a balloon. A big, woolly, gassy balloon. It looks down at you with a placid, unblinking eyes. You can see yourself refracted in them. Weird. Neat. Okay, very cool, very cool. What do I need here? Organizing and persuasion. So we're working in the... See, I've got organizing almost up to maximum and persuasion almost up to tier 1. So we're going to do this, organizing and persuasion. You're constantly filling requisitions for snow shovels and waterproof boots. Like every year people forget that it snows on Vertumna. At least everything gets recycled afterwards. Okay. I know. Okay. And, we just barely cleared that. We're gonna get to a point where we're not clearing stuff pretty soon. That's gonna be rough. I need better cards. Plus 3 organizing. 1 challenge. Persuasion. Okay, we gotta do that at least one more time, I think. It's your birthday. You wake from a night of blissfully peaceful dreams. No nightmares, no premonitions. Just a pleasant feeling of contentment. You stretch your arms over your head, blinking in the watery, quiet sunlight that seeps through the porthole window. Things are always changing on Vertumna, but you can't help but feel like things are changing for yourself too. Not just your body, but your mind, your emotions, your future. 14 is going to be your year. We'll see about that, Solane. Your parents have been working around the clock since the last attack, trying to get the fields right again in time for this year's planting. Spark snow has already started falling, and every day they come home complaining about having to clear it. They asked you to ping them when you're awake so you can share birthday breakfast in your quarters instead of sitting shoulder to shoulder with everyone else during breakfast service in the canteen. You fire them a message and lie in your bunk watching dust motes float lazily in the sky. After a minute, there's a knock at the door. It's Auntie Seaton. She sweeps into your room in a bustle of skirts and shawls and sits down beside you on your bunk. Oh, look at you, she says. Happy birthday, beautiful. 14 years old. She leans in and gives you a motherly kiss on the forehead. It's been years since she took care of you in the children's creche, but all the kids still call her Auntie and think of her as a close relative. Her sweet baking bread smell is as comforting as it ever was. She sits back and takes one of your hands in both of hers. Solane, ever since I held you in my arms as a baby, I knew you were so special, so important. You're becoming a young adult, but I want you to know I will always, always be here for you, just like your mom and dad, she says firmly. Let's see. Thanks, Auntie Seaton. I don't want to grow up, Auntie Seaton. Let's go with okay for the enough mushy stuff because it has a gem on it. Rebellion 5. She laughs and releases your hand. Well then, mixed maturity, how about you call me Aunt On from now on, like the other adults do? Now come on in here, Aunt On says, spreading her arms wide. Give us a great big hug. You hug her, enveloping yourself in the warm and familiar softness of her. Over her shoulder, you see Anemone standing in the doorway. Well, her hair anyway. She's been growing it out, and there's no hiding it behind a corner. She skips into your quarters. Happy birthday, bud, she says, bouncing on your bunk. Way to get older. Enjoy being 2 years older than me for a few months. Thanks. I thought you were on your way to Medbay, Anne tells her, and Anemone shrugs. Anne turns to you. Annie is supposed to get her menstruation cessation implant today, she says. She's like, ugh. Aunt smiles fondly at her daughter. It's nothing to be ashamed of, Annie. Getting your period is a beautiful thing. It reminds us that we have the ability to make life. It's a sign you're growing up and becoming an adult and ready to take on the responsibility of taking care of that life. Anemone wrinkles her nose and throws herself on your bed. I'm never making life. Ew, pass. Apparently you could say, maybe one day the two of us could, as a flirt with Anemone. We're gonna go eek gross-a-rooney. Right? Anemone agrees. She's always like this. You think this is bad? When I got my period, she made me a cake with red gooey center and said, welcome to womanhood. She rolls her eyes. It's bad enough. I shut up overnight and got boobs and want to cry all the time. She has to go around telling everyone, too. Your parents finally arrive, still damp from the fields, and bringing in the smell of crisp, tangy snow on their clothes. Oh, look, birthday visitors, your dad exclaims. Anne, are you staying for breakfast? Anne reaches into her bag and brings out a stack of tiffins. No, thank you, but I brought your order with me from the kitchen, seeing as I was stopping by. She pats your hand one more time. Happy birthday again, Solane. You'll always be my baby, even when you're all grown up. Aw. Your mom shakes her head as Anne and Anemone leave. Oh, Anne, she says, sentimental to the core. She starts laying out the cutlery for breakfast. But I don't know how the colony would manage without her and the children's creche, she says, points a fork at you. Family is more than the people that birthed you, Solane, and don't you forget it. Early quiet becomes mid-quiet. Alright. Let's see if anybody needs to talk or if there's any collectibles. I don't see any collectibles. Alright. One more persuasion organizing should give me a little bit better. Work in the depot. You and Mars come up with a game involving whether or not the next requisition will have an even or odd quantity of items. She plays for 3 rounds before declaring it's too boring and going back to reading a magazine on her hollow palm. Alright, let's do it. Okay, let's see. Card becomes 3. We did it! We did it! +4 organizing. An absorbent brain. Kudos. +1 friendship with Mars. Okay. Quiet becomes late quiet. I now have enlightened. You've been enlightened by mastering a skill. +1 to all mental skill increases for 3 months. Organizing level 3. Optional card skip. You can choose not to take new cards. I don't understand what that means. Oh, maybe when you add cards to your deck, you can just be like, no thank you. That should be cool. Maybe. Let's test this out real quick. Mars is always talking about how she's bored and wishes there was more to do here, but there are 100 reasons Vertumna isn't boring. You try to list them all. There's all the cool plants and new constellations to look at, and just yesterday you watched a Dorb's myth squeeze through a crack in the wall no animal should be able to fit through. Mars listens politely, but starts yawning halfway through. Less bored is still bored when it comes to Mars and Vertumna. Okay. Oh, that gave me all the persuasion I needed. Okay. That ought to come in handy. I tell you what I want to do, kind of, now is get reasoning and maybe some toughness eventually. Let's get reasoning. This will be fine. Study engineering. It's been a while since you've taken a physics class. You wonder who they got to teach it after Professor Hal died. He was the teacher back on the ship. Who could possibly replace him? Congruence is waiting placidly for class to begin. Oh, hello, Selene. Selene, hello, she says as you take your seat. It's been a while since you joined us to learn about the grand world of physics. Don't be surprised, I'm teaching this class now in Professor Hal's absence. Today, Congruence teaches you about machine learning and the development of artificial intelligences. Congruence has been a part of your life for as long as you can remember. It's hard to imagine a time when people didn't have access to such a powerful, all-knowing intelligence. How did people used to learn anything? Books. Books, my friend. Books is what we used to learn with. Engineering. One challenge enlightened status, absorbent brain perk, reasoning. Done. Late quiet turns into early pollen. This is bad. Pollen is bad. Everybody gets immune problems. Talk to Dis. Dis is rifling through his backpack, and as you approach, he pulls out a handful of dried roots and fungus chips. There's actually a lot to eat out there, he says, looking out into the wilderness. You just have to pay attention and listen. Okay. Good on you, Dis. Let's talk to Dad. He wants to talk. You can hear your dad sneeze all the way from engineering. It's explosive, like he's trying to scare away predators. He's wiping his nose as you approach on a handkerchief blotted with shimmering pink. Lately, he's also surrounded by a fine dust of pink pollen that clings to him wherever he goes. You keep brushing the glitter off things in your quarters. He gives you a hug, then brushes pollen off your shoulder, laughing self-consciously. You haven't heard him laugh much lately. He's been working hard trying to improve the colony's food supply. He's showing signs of malnourishment too, though your mom is worse. You're worried for both of them. Your dad's skin is kind of shiny in patches. He sees you staring and rubs his hands over his arms. Sparkling dust poofs off of him in little clouds, scintillating in the light. Oh yeah, there's a new symptom, he says. Seems harmless though. You should be wearing your mask. And hide this beautiful face, your dad laughs, rubbing his nose. Especially now that it sparkles. He makes a big show of checking his pockets. Huh, I guess I must have left my respirator back in the greenhouse. Arg, why can't he just take care of himself? Yeah, Dad. Your dad sniffles. Gosh, I feel like someone stuffed a whole potato pod up my nose, he says. Like I could just poke a stick up there and pop fresh potato juice. Ugh, Dad, gross. He just grins. What? It's true. You follow his gaze out to the fields and to the lands outside the gate. I wonder if the foragers could use an extra hand, he muses to himself. Yeah, maybe I'll join them out there tomorrow. Neither of your parents are taking proper care of themselves. They're so stressed out from the poor harvest and low food supplies. They try not to let you see it, but you can tell. Maybe your dad is right. A little seasonal illness is nothing compared to the danger of running out of food. I mean, we gotta work on these priorities. Persuasion 40. Today's biology, she sighs. This is so dumb. There's only one kind of biology I care about, and they don't cover it in school. Goodness, Mars. Not allowed to be horny on main Mars. Good grief. Alright. I still have enlightened. I'm gonna study engineering. Maybe I should be studying toughness. Let's do toughness for today. What can I get? Play sports ball gives me bravery and toughness. Defense training gives me combat and animals. It doesn't give me much toughness. Is there a better option for toughness? There must be. Explore nearby gives me, okay, bravery and perception. This gives me perception and animals. So that's the best option for toughness I have right now. I think we're gonna postpone working on toughness at all until something better comes along. I don't know when it will come along. See a notice on the engineering holoweb. Chief Engineer Instance needs someone to help with after-school tutoring. Literally anyone who isn't a complete idiot will do because she's desperate. Please apply. You need reasoning 10 or greater. And apply for the job. You tell Dr. Instance you're interested in the job. She looks up from her holopalm like she's just noticed you exist. Yes, you'll do, she says, nodding. The younger, slower kids have trouble keeping up with congruence sometimes. You mostly just have to pat them on the back now and then, and stop them from wandering off when they're supposed to be studying. No offense, but anyone with a pulse could do it. You wait for further instruction. Instant sighs, shooing you away dismissively. You know where the classrooms are. Just come when you're not doing whatever nonsense teenagers do here. Jeez, Instance. Alright, let's see what we got. We want to reconfigure that. Super goal. Plus 5 engineering. It's quite a lot of engineering. It's 3 reasoning. Ooh, I know where we can get toughness. You're at lunch with your parents. Sliced soy cakes and watery broth again. Great. When they put down their cutlery and look at each other, then you. So Lane, your mom says, there's something we should tell you. We've tried to shelter you from some things, but we think you should know why we've been working so hard in geoponics. There's a meeting after lunch and I want you to come with us. Okay. You follow your parents to the council room. Mars has also tagged along, and you take a seat near them as your mom and Aunt Ann stand to address the council. After Unicott officially calls the meeting, she gestures to your mom. I'm not going to mince words, your mom says firmly. All of our efforts to increase food production in geoponics have failed, especially given the failure of the pixie beans. The destruction of the fields during the last attack put the nail in our coffin. By the end of the year, the colony will run out of food. The rest of the council murmurs in concern. You and Mars exchange horrified looks. You've been doomsaying about our food supply for 2 years, Flulu. Rhett questions. Do you mean to say we're past the point of no return? Your mother nods grimly. I'm afraid so. Even with rationing, without securing a vertumnant food source, our supplies will run out by wet season. She gestures to Anne, whose face is grave. Anne and I have gone over the supplies and come up with food plans. We've crunched the numbers. Your mom sighs and spreads her hands. I'm sorry. Geoponics should have been producing better by now. We should have been able to wean ourselves off of soy rations. During wormhole transit, we lost our hydroponics in the hull breach. She sighs again. I know I've said it so many times, but our crops just don't grow here. We needed those algae tanks. We needed the microbial soil from Earth. It's not Mom's fault. I get 5. It's not. The survival of the colony shouldn't rest on one person's shoulders. It's not fair. She's been working harder than anyone. She did everything she could. The council members The council mumbles agreement. You decide they probably never really blamed her or your dad. The only holdout is Mars, who crossed her arms and grumbles that it's clearly a problem with leadership. So what do we do now? Instance asks. Starving to death isn't an option. No, it isn't, your mom replies. We need to secure a food source this year before our rations run out. We're working double shifts in geoponics, but it's not enough. We need more people planting, tending, turning the soil. We need more hands. I can pull back the surveyors and focus on foraging native plants, Utopia offers. Even the young folk can help if they've proven themselves around the survey equipment. I'll send out a hollow message later. Okay, gain status starving. What does it do? Starving. Hunger makes it difficult to do physical tasks. Physical skill increases, reduced by 1. This has been the burden of geoponics for too long, Uticott says. It's time we all step up for our future. The council nods in agreement. Your stomach rumbles ominously. Okay, we are now starving, which means our physical skill gains are decreased by 1. I forgot I could come in here and work on toughness. I totally forgot. Well, maybe I should shovel dirt. Maybe I should. Or maybe I should go. Listening to this music, it's pretty cool. I'm so choked that there's not going to be a Vertumnalia festival this year, Mars complains. Look, just because we don't have a harvest festival doesn't mean we can't have a party. She sighs and twirls her hair with her fingers. Look, it's literally the only culture we have on this stupid rock. Can't we at least pretend things are okay? Okay, we are in mid-pollen season. Now I could go forage in the valley. I think I'm gonna forego that and instead continue working on my reasoning and engineering. That may seem like a weird choice. Tutor children. Why don't we tutor some children? Get more reasoning out of it. Reasoning is what we want to increase right now. It also increases empathy. I could study engineering. Now let's just tutor the children. You show up to class to find Congruence teaching a classroom of younger children. Instance is nowhere to be found. In the absence of further direction, you settle in to help the students with their work. Posture check. After half an hour, Instance pokes her head into the classroom. Oh good, we're already here, she says. I trust you'll be able to handle yourselves in all subjects and with students of all ages. Ask Congruent if you need any help. She turns to leave but stops and turns back to you. Thank you, Solane, she says quietly. Since Professor Hal died, well, Congruence and myself are poor replacements for him. I'm grateful for your help. You settle in to help the younger students learn how to use their holopalms to access the HoloNet, Congruence's massive database. Congruence has everything they could ever need: music, movies, games, novels, and comics, a calculator, a timer, an encyclopedia, textbooks, the colony's social media, specialized tools for different jobs, like agricultural holograms. It's a massively powerful tool, and it's in their literal hands. They're mostly interested in the games. Some understand it less than others. Why do we gotta read about stuff? Nougat whines, poking dejectedly at her holo screen. The skin around her newly implanted holopalm looks a little red, like she keeps picking at it. I just want to go play. Let's see. I could go here. That looks infected. And go, that looks infected. You take a closer look at Nugget's hollow palm implant. The edges where it meets the skin are peeling back and it looks red and puffy. No wonder she's having a hard time concentrating. It looks like it really hurts. You take her to the med bay, put some antibiotic cream on it, and wrap her hand so she stops picking at it. She's excused from this lesson until her implant heals properly, so you spend some time with her afterwards showing her how your own hollow palm works. The quieter environment of the med bay seems to help her concentrate, and soon she's zipping through Congruence's archives on her own. Looks like you're pretty good at this tutoring business. Well, that's nice. Okay. Alright. Cha-ching. Oh, look at that. Okay. Let's see. Alright. +5 reasoning. We're almost there on reasoning. +1 empathy. Alright. Mid pollen turns to late pollen. Alright. I can't use kudos to buy more food. What is the point of being rich? Mars complains. She rocks back on her heels and puts her hands on her hips. Why can't we nanoprint organic material yet? Aren't we living in the future? Just give me my future food. Ugh. I mean, you gotta have material to nanoprint with, don't you? Alright, one more session of helping kids should give me a point of reasoning. You should have known better, Tangent. You hear as you walk past the laboratory. Curious, you listen at the door. Chief Engineer Instant sighs. I know you meant well, but your presumption has cost us 3 months of work. You can't simply look at an experiment and change the parameters to your liking. Getting results is not the same as doing good science. Your findings, however scientifically interesting, are useless to us without sound methodological underpinnings. Tang's response is more subdued than you've ever heard her before. I'm sorry, Chief Engineer, she mumbles, looking down at the floor. I recognize the error of my ways. I should hope so, Instance replies, pinching the bridge of her nose with her fingers. I'll expect you in the lab first thing tomorrow morning, and I will personally supervise your work in resetting the experiment. You flatten against the wall as Instance breezes past you, barely giving you a second look as she strides down the hallway. You poke your head inside the laboratory where Tang scowls and wipes her eyes. What do you want? It'll be better the second time around. For that I need reasoning 20 or greater. And I got 2 friendship with Tang, and 1 help to Tangent. Tang nods. You're right, the first experiment was plagued by inefficiencies, she says, pushing herself off the lab bench. That's why I changed it in the first place. In the new experiment, I can eliminate those inefficiencies from the start. Thank you, Solane. You may have saved me 3 months of work. Losing the data was my fault, Tang continues. I wanted to prove I'm not the little kid from biology class, that I'm ready to work hard and really make great discoveries. Dr. Instance has always been there for me when I was a kid, and now, with my mother gone, she's the only adult in this colony who sees what I could become, she says. She believes that I can be better than what I am. It's always been that way. I just really want to impress her. You will. Tang hums in agreement. I certainly hope so. Alright, we're back to tutoring. Alright. Oh, okay. +2 for every other Okay. Okay, we got a reasoning perk. What does it do? Blue cards get +1 in mental challenges. That's pretty good. That's going to help us. Late pollen turns to early dust. New perk. Blue card get +1 in mental challenges. Reasoning level 1. Okay. What shall I work on now? We're still starving. I think my parents might need help in the farm. I'm gonna work on the farm. It's not gonna get me any... Maybe I should research xenobotany. Doesn't give me any new skill points though. Work on the farm. Someone broke into the gardens last night and stole some green tomatoes. What a waste. Not only were they probably too bitter to eat, but now they don't have the seeds to replant. Your mom is furious. This sucks. Mom calls everyone for an all-hands meeting. She looks grim as she surveys the group. Alright, farmers, listen up. Based on my projections, geoponics should have been producing 70% of the colony's food by the end of our 3rd year. She says the rest was to be provided by stored rations and hydroponic algae greenhouse aboard the Stratospheric. The agriculturists all nod. Everyone knows where this is going. Because we lost so much of our hydroponic equipment in the wormhole incident, as well as 90% of our soil and bacteria cultures, we're nowhere near the production we need to be at. We also had hoped to have domesticated at least one native crop, but as we found from the pixie beans last year, we have some more work to do on that front. She looks every one of you in the eyes. You're my people, my family. I'm not going to sugarcoat this for you. The colony is going to fail if we don't get a handle on agricultural production. People will die. You feel a pit in your stomach that's not just from hunger. You can imagine something as strong as your mother just wasting away. Your mother pulls up a hollow screen outlining work plans for this season. You feel your own hollow palm pulse as you receive a copy. There's so much life here on this planet, your mother says, but it seems to fight us at every turn. I've sent soil chemistry analysis to your palms, courtesy of Geranium. Soil needs to be conditioned extensively to support earth crops. We need to cultivate more vertumnant crops in partnership with the foragers. We need to salvage what we can of hydroponics and get that up and running by the end of the year. Your mother would never stoop to being beaten, but you can see the lines of fatigue around her eyes. It'll take a superhuman amount of work to turn this around, but it is still possible, she says. You are the people who will save this colony. I believe in us and the miracles we can perform here. Thank you for being here to do the work. Now, let's get out of there. Let's get out there. Okay, Okay, here's something. Okay. Again, we're sort of just barely getting it done. +2 toughness. Okay, I recovered the from the starving status with the super strength perk. And I'm getting extra biology, which doesn't really do anything for me. But the toughness will come in handy eventually. Alright. It's time for Vernomnalia, the yearly midsummer celebration when the colony gives thanks for its good fortune. Well, it would be, but as you file into the main square, you can't help but notice that the feast table is nearly empty. What Anne lacked in resources she made up with care. The dishes are lovingly plated, soy cakes glisten, steam rises from buns stuffed with mince, and there are great pitchers of vegetable broth rendered out from even the most inedible food scraps. There's a neat stack of sugar cubes for dessert. Whole sugar. What a luxury. In an underwhelming feast, that'll be the highlight. Governor Eudicott's welcoming speech this year is short. Her frail body trembles as she welcomes you all to Vertumnalia with a dry, whispery voice, then has to be helped off stage. Like all of you, she has been feeling the effects of the famine. Everyone clears away the chairs for the annual competition. Which one do you participate in this year? I guess I'm gonna do the science fair. You weren't in the science fair last year, but you heard the stories. Tang did something terribly complicated about cell differentiation in vertumnant species, plant, animal, and fungus alike. She melted down when Dr. Instance pressed her on something, but this year she's all business, back and better than ever. She has not only corrected her error, but added a ton more complexity and depth to her analysis. Instance listens intently and congratulates her on a marvelous comeback. You're up next. Alright, let's see if we can even do this. Oh boy. No. That'll do for the first round. Do for the second round. Oh, okay, that's unchangeable. Well anyway, we cleared it. Okay, we actually got a Super Bowl. Wrong genre. It's not a Super Bowl. +1 reasoning. That's good. -1 kudos from Mars's ambition. You've been studying the yearly attacks. They only happen during glow, but why? You've been graphing and analyzing surveya data on the animals and discovered the attacks don't correlate with natural behavior or migration patterns. You thought at first that the wormhole might agitate them. It does put off low-frequency waves during glow that haven't yet been fully studied. So a year ago you started monitoring the waves and realized that there were actually two waveforms, one from the wormhole and a weaker one based somewhere on the planet. During glow, when the vibrations from the wormhole are present, it seems to activate something in the planet's frequency, making it stronger and more complex. These frequencies run right through the colony like targeted beams, drawing animal and migrations closer. Let me read that again. So a year ago you started monitoring the waves and realized that there were actually two waveforms, one from the wormhole and a weaker one based somewhere on the planet. During glow, when the vibrations from the wormhole are present, it seems to activate something in the planet's frequency, making it stronger and more complex. These frequencies run right through the colony like targeted beams, drawing animal migrations closer. It's almost as if something is summoning the animals. Okay, so I got my 5 Science Fair champion, that'll help. +2 friendship with Tangent, +1 colony defense. The judges are amazed. This is a huge breakthrough, and it all happened just because you wanted to win a science fair. You have a lot of work to do to be able to use this theory for forecasting the next attack, but Rhett is excited to study this further. You win the science fair, hands down. Okay, I win 50 stress back. After the festivities, the whole colony takes a few days off for a break. Well, except for geoponics, and the foragers, and the kitchens, and everyone who uses the break from their usual work to help out in places that didn't close. Okay, it's not really a break, but you try to take it easy anyway. Early dust becomes mid-dust. Alright. I see you, Cal. Oh, and Tangent wants to talk. Talk to me, Tangent. Tangent looks up from her hollow palm, blinking as her eyes refocus on the middle distance, and then on you. Her previously long hair is gone, buzzed close to her scalp. You almost didn't recognize her when you first saw her. You wonder if it was caused by a lab accident or something. Hello, Solane, she says, already cagey. Do you need something? Hair, I mean, what's up with your hair? Tang shrugs. It's too hot here, she says dismissively. If evolution hasn't seen fit to solve the problem, then adaptive behaviors will have to do. I'm into women with short hair. You can flirt with Tangent. I like it. She shrugs again. Would you like me to add you to the tally of people who have an opinion about my personal appearance? It's quite riveting. If you're into that sort of thing. Tang turns back to her reports. It's not about looking good, she says. This is more efficient. Okay, Tang. Alright, Cal also wants to talk. Cal waves at you as you enter the garden, leaning on his shovel. Hey, Solane, he calls, but his eyes look past you, down the path to where Anemone is beating the absolute tar out of a training dummy. Her fierce battle cries echo across the colony, making Cal wince. She's been going totally hard lately, huh? He says. He scratches his face, smearing dirt across his cheek. She asked me yesterday if I wanted to spar with her. She said it would be good for self-defense. Cal smiles sadly at the memory. I told her I didn't want to fight. Not her, not a training dummy, and not anything on this planet. For real. I never seen her get so mad at me. She called me a baby and told me I'm just gonna end up forcing everyone to protect me because I'm weak or helpless or whatever. He seems upset and stabs the ground a few times with his shovel. I just don't think it's right for anyone to fight anyone, especially the Xenos. They were here first, he says. What do you think, Solane? Sometimes you don't have a choice. Geez, you sound like an adult, Cal grumps. They always tell us to see both sides of an argument, but I tried and He shrugs. I just think if you have to hurt someone to get what you need, you don't deserve to have it. What if your loved ones are in danger? I mean, that's totally scary, but you kinda shouldn't be putting your loved ones in situations where they could be in danger in the first place. What if they attack you first? Cal throws his arms up in disgust. If something attacks you first, you probably did something wrong. Maybe you shouldn't keep going places where things want to attack you. Okay, buddy. You're being naive, Cal. You tell him sometimes you just have to fight. Nope, Cal says. Nope, nope, nope. Nobody's life is worth more than anyone else's. It doesn't matter if you're human, Xeno, or anything else out there. We all need to live in peace. Cal slumps. Sometimes I think about the Xeno I had to kill the first time they attacked. Like, obviously I'm glad I'm alive, duh, but now it's dead. His eyes go back to Anemone. She's stopped sparring with the training dummy and is looking up at the gardens as she has a drink. Neither she nor Cal wave at each other. It was an accident. I didn't mean to kill it, Cal continues quietly. It just happened. I wish I could tell it I'm sorry. Cal's strength, too. Cal has such strong convictions. It's one of the things you like best about him, even if you don't always agree with them. Learn something more about Cal, apparently. You spend a few hours following Cal through the garden. The adults have given him a portion of land to plan out for the next planting season. It's a big responsibility, but instead of feeling proud, you can tell Cal is a little distracted by your conversation. He keeps looking over in Anemone's direction, but she seems determined to ignore him. When you finally head out, you're just as dirty as he is. The dirt sticks under your nails, no matter how many times you wash your hands. Okay. Oh, there's a a flower, a yellow flower. See if I've got anything to give. Got 2 crystals and 1 flower. Give you a flower. She holds the flower up to look at it. A flower? A cheap gift, but I suppose it will look good in my hair. Thank you. Alright, let's continue working on the farm. We need all this food. Let's look at what we learned about Cal, if anything. Okay, it looks like we learned that he's more or less loyal to the colony. He's tough, and he's peaceful. Okay. What does this do? Oh, okay. I'm gonna work on the farm. Your mom is working the fields when you arrive. She works the fields when you leave. Every day she works the longest and the hardest. You know your mom is strong, but not that strong. It worries you to see her growing more gaunt and pale as the famine stretches on. Even your dad pitches in to help in the fields when he's not analyzing the plants to see if there's any way to make them better suited to Vertumnan soil. He always has a joke to spare or a friendly word. It's nice to have him around, even under these conditions. Alright, your dad is a total nerd when it comes to crunching statistics about the colony's food production. Through him, you learn that the average person eats approximately 200 kilograms of dry rations every year. That works out to about 2,000 calories a day. There are about 100 colonists to feed at 2,000 calories a day, so in a year you need to produce about... well, no matter how many times you think it over, the math is grim. Even with all your hard work, geoponics is producing far, far less than the colony needs to survive. It all feels so helpless. Knowing that all of your hard work still hasn't been enough, well, it breaks something in you. Hunger and desperation boil together in your stomach as you work, like bitter acid. You're working so hard and you're still starving. You deserve to eat. You need to eat. If you don't eat, you're not going to be able to work as hard as you need to. So, when it's just you and the wheelbarrow of anemic-looking carrots, what do? See, I could steal it. Or I could don't steal it. I think I'll don't steal it. It takes an extraordinary amount of willpower, but you get all the carrots weighed and delivered to the kitchens. This food is for everyone. It's not a lot of food for 100 people, but at least you'll all starve together. Okay, what do we got? Alright. Okay. Why didn't it? Okay. Oh, it's only to red cards. Okay. Alright. 23. Okay. It's not great, but I'll take it. +2 toughness, +4 biology, which doesn't get us anything. 20 kudos. 10 stress. Mid dust. Blade dust. Did I get extra food? I don't think it gave me extra food that time. Let's look at... Oh, we gotta look at the notice board in... Food, colony food shortfall, minus 90%, starvation. Colony security rating, 30% orange. Okay. Let's see. Some of my relations are at 42 friendship with Mars, 41 friendship with Tangent, 51 friendship with Cal, 13 friendship with Anemone, 8 friendship with Dis. Tammy is dead, so we can't increase that friendship. Well, let's work again. Alright. We just gotta get a lot more food. You're so happy when you see new green shoots poking out from the ground. It makes it that much worse when you return the next day and find them withered and dry. What's wrong with this planet? That's it. You can't work anymore. You lie down in the middle of the barren field and stare up at the sky. In Earth Hollow vids, you'd expect to see vultures circling overhead, but it's just the twin sons of Vertumna beating down on you mercilessly. After a few minutes of sulking, you get back to work. You hear an uproar from the other side of the fields and run over, worried there's been an accident. Unbelievably, people are cheering. You got one colony food. Your mom proudly holds a potato plant over her head in one hand, her biceps straining under the weight of the tubers and the clumpy brown soil. You count 3, 5, 7. 7 perfect mature potatoes on just this one plant. Stretching all around you in the field, the leafy green tops of other plants wave in the breeze. You look around at the other agriculturists. Some of them have tears of relief in their eyes, and even everyone is smiling and laughing. Okay, so we got one food out of that. Okay. +5 biology, which I don't need. +2 toughness. Okay. Late dust turns to early wet. Now, I happen to know that early wet is Mars's birthday. Ha! Mars laughs, taking the crystal and turning it over in her hands, inspecting it. Well, I've had better birthday gifts this year, but I admit this crystal is pretty fabulous. I'll add it to my collection. Wonder if I know what Cal's birthday is now. Nope, don't know his birthday. Likes blue bobber fruits. Okay, let's check. The notice board. Minus 80%. Okay, so every additional food we find decreases the food shortfall by 10%. I don't know what percent we need to avoid starving, but we'll just work on the farm. Mood in geoponics is tense. Everyone is working themselves to the point of exhaustion trying to get enough plants in the ground to survive this year. Me too. You overhear Chief Steward Ann begging your mom to give her extra rations for the children in the creche. It's hard to hear your mom turn her away, but what choice does she have? As head of the kitchens, Chief Steward Ann stops by often to get a sense of how thin she has to stretch the meals this week. Every time she leaves looking a little bit older and more fatigued. It's so discouraging to work the fields day after day and have almost nothing to show for it. You truly feel helpless. You work yourself to the point of exhaustion every day, but you don't even know if you're doing any good here anymore. Gonna keep trying. Do toughness. I'm almost at enough toughness to get a bonus. Early wet, mid wet. We're headed toward the end of the year. We just don't have enough food. We just don't have enough food. Keep working on the farms. The mood in geoponics is tense. Oh, I already read that. Work on the farm. Half the crops you pull look blighted, like they're moldy before you can even pull them off the plant. Many of the leaves are pale and yellow. Your mom takes one look at them and starts muttering about nitrogen deficiency. You almost feel guilty breaking for lunch. The kitchens deliver you a watery sort of potato soup with some pale greens floating in it, and you eat every flavorless drop. You can't bear to waste a single spoonful. It barely gives you enough energy to make it through the rest of the day. You work yourself to the point of exhaustion every day, but you don't even know if you're doing any good here anymore. Let's see. It's 5 biology plus 2 toughness. 9 kudos minus 1 from Mars's ambition. Okay. I should really go to the supply depot and see if there's anything good. Is it the supply depot? I think I'll just get this. I don't know. Locked mead perk. Yeah. Okay. Alright. I'm a little tired of the stress. Age 14. We're headed into glow after this season, so if we don't get a lot more food, things are gonna go bad. Your mom was really counting on the rice crops to flourish on Vertumna, but no luck. The soil just isn't right. It hurts to have lost such a staple crop. You find your mom almost collapsed over a sack of soil, your head in her hands. When she hears you, her head snaps up and she wipes her eyes. You try to leave quietly before she realizes you saw her cry. You work yourself to the point of exhaustion every day, but you don't even know if you're doing any good here anymore. When the rains come, it's time to harvest the crops. Really, this should have been done before wet, but everyone's been so busy that the corn is practically drooping to the ground, laden with fat yellow cobs. It's going to be a struggle to get everything harvested before it rots. It's up to you, Cal, and the rest of the agriculturists to save the harvest this year's harvest. Your mom claps you and Cal on the back. Come on, kids, she says, a little hard work won't hurt you. Why don't you make a game out of it and see which one of you can harvest the most ears of corn? Cal almost never likes competitive games, but he begrudgingly admits that you'd both probably work faster if you pretended to compete. Game on. Let's see, I could work with my brains, work with your brawn. Gonna work with our brains, although we won't gain any biology if we win. Alright, this is a hard one. This is a hard one. That's a little better. This isn't going well. This really isn't going well. This isn't going to work. We almost did it. We don't have enough stress to push through. Defeated. -1 kudos. The game was a good idea, but clearly Cal's just on another level entirely. He's finished all of his rows before you and has to help you with yours too. You're a little embarrassed, but he's proud enough of both of you. Just happy it all got done. As long as the colony has enough food, we're all good, Cal says, shaking the rein off of himself like a dog. It's true, but all the same, you secretly hope to beat him next harvest. Okay. Didn't work very well this month. But I did get the toughness perk. So that's good. It's been 3 seasons of heavy food rationing, getting more and more strict as the year dragged on, and the fields continue to struggle. You've been wasting away. You all have. It's not just a lack of calories, there just aren't enough vitamins and good stuff in the food you are eating. Ooh, that's a lot of stress. Your muscles ache all the time. Sometimes you feel strangely euphoric, filled with inexplicable energy, but often it feels like there are weights tied to your shoulders, pulling you down. You're tougher than most, but you still have trouble sleeping, despite being tired all the time. You spend the whole day in a dazed fog. It's hard to tell dreams from reality. Last week you were brushing your teeth when you noticed that some of your teeth were wiggling. You brushed and watched all of your teeth begin to fall out of your mouth, clicking into the sink like pebbles and washing down the drain. Horrified, you start screaming, only to snap out of it and realize you've been staring at yourself in the mirror the whole time, lost in a hallucination. Your friends stop working and retreat to their quarters. You lie to each other on the holonet, all saying you're okay, just taking it easy, waiting for the harvest. Well, the harvest came and went, as meager as ever. Your mother still hasn't given up and never rests, never stops working, as much as your dad begs her to. She must be sleeping in geoponics because you hardly see her in the family quarters anymore. From where you lie nestled in bed in your cozy fugue, it all seems like far, far too much effort to bother with. I help your mom in geoponics. I get +1 toughness, +2 biology. You're out there in the fields with her, being her sidekick, helping fetch things. She never slows down. When the robo-plow finally breaks under the pressure, she doesn't. She's out there even longer, doing everything by hand. Both of your parents feel responsible for this famine, but as head of geoponics, your mom takes it personally. She's been skipping meals, relying on water and pressed soy bar rations, just enough calories to keep a body moving with not enough to stay healthy. Yet she never lets up working herself to the bone, barely even sleeping, increasing sallow-eyed and gaunt. You and your dad try to slow her down, but well, she's a stubborn woman. If not her, she says, then who? You and your dad are in the lounge, slowly sipping your vegetable broth, when there's a commotion at the doors. Someone's run in, gasping for breath, yelling for you and your father to come to geoponics. No. It's just like before. It's just like your dreams. You and your father run to geoponics, but you know what you're going to see before you get there. Your dad sees her body first. She lets out a cry like something you've never heard before, a deep, unimaginable pain, dragged up from the darkest parts of where fear lives. Oh, man. Your dad falls to his knees beside the frail body of your mother. He pulls her into his arms and sobs, wretched and agonized. You don't even know what to think. Your mom always seems larger than her body, but seeing her now, there's nothing there. She's just a fragile shell. They tell you she didn't even cry out, just went to her knees and then lay down in the dirt, and that was it. She's gone. Plus 50 stress, gained status in mourning. All skill increases reduced by 1 for 3 months, and some jobs and actions can't be performed. Your mother's body is taken to the incinerator room, and that night the colony gathers to pay their respects. Do you join them? I'll attend the funeral. Like Tammy's funeral, the incinerator room has been cleared and a wreath of flowers placed over the mouth of the organics recycler. While their white astrantia, your mother's favorite flower, carefully carried from Earth with the hopes of it flourishing on Vertumna, just like you. You stand with your father and Aunt Anne. Udicott and the rest of the council are here as well, including Rhett. You're surprised to see tears rolling down his face. He's such a hard-ass in the garrison. Cal is here with all the other agriculturists. The rest of the colony waits in the canteen to offer their condolences after the service. Governor Udicott gives the eulogy. As a colony, we share our blessings, she begins solemnly. However, today, in sad company, we gather to share the burden of our grief. Fluorescent was born on Earth, but she, more than many of us, exemplified the spirit of our endeavor to bring life to beyond the stars. She bore life, not only in her body, but bringing it forth from the ground she so faithfully attended. The debt we owe to her is the kind that can never be repaid, she continues. It is with a deep and unbearable grief that we must continue on without her, in awe and respect of her sacrifice, the depth of which was never expected of her, but which she did not expect of anyone else. It is on her strong shoulders that she carries us still. Udicott closes the door to the recycler, and the particle disintegrators begin to reclaim the molecules that once formed your mother. Your father squeezes your shoulder, making a small, choked-off noise of pain. As a community, we remember Fluorescent. As a community, we remember her body to the soil that nourishes us. In this way, her sacrifice is recognized in the manifest body of the colony. Her ceremony is adjourned to the canteen, where a somber wake is held in your mother's memory. There isn't enough food to dull the emotions, and your empty stomach only reminds you of her unfinished work. Your father is the new head of geoponics. In a few hours, he receives your mother's remains so that he can add them to the colony's precious supply of brown soil from Earth. You touch the cool lid of the container, marveling that your mother could fit in such a small box. You don't have to be okay, your dad says quietly. His voice is thick with emotion. I know I'm not. I have to keep going where she left off, but if you can, you should take some time off. I'll take the month off. I don't have any stress to spare. Late wet turns to glow. The prospect of just going back to work like everything is normal is too much to handle. The sun dips below the horizon and glow begins. You end up spending the whole month alternating between sleeping, scrolling the holonet, and staring into space. It's restful, at least. A few days after the funeral, surveyors return with an unexpected bounty from the Valley of Vertigo. It's enough to survive for another month, until the new year maybe, if you keep rationing. The colony will continue to limp along, but without your mother. The roar wakes you. It would wake the dead. It shakes the walls, rumbles through the ship's hull, and makes your heart skip a beat. You're paralyzed by a sudden clench of fear in your gut. Through your porthole window, you see metal screeching and people shouting. Then another roar, guttural and rumbling like the sound of a mountain collapsing. Something enormous is out there. See, I don't have enough bravery to run out to face it, so we're going to stay indoors. Your dad can't hide the look of fear on his face, but he tries. Sounds like we better get a move on to the assembly point. Hey, kiddo? You head to the creche together. You huddle with your buds, Mars, Dis, Cal, because it's the middle of the night. Almost everyone was in their beds. Some people are still wearing their pajamas and sleep bonnets. Only Anemone is missing. The children's creche is buried down in the belly of the stratospheric, making it one of the safest places you could be. Even so, the youngest children are scared and there's a lot of crying. I'll watch holovids with the young ones. I almost get some empathy, but I lose it because of in mourning status. Somehow, even with the sirens blaring, some of the youngest drift off in your arms. After an hour, someone in the defense squad rushes in and orders everyone to leave the creche. The battle is getting close to the stratospheric. Before you can even get everyone to their feet, you feel the ship lurch and resettle at a different angle. Something is attacking the ship itself. The children scream. Some scatter in all directions, and others sit there paralyzed with fear. Without warning, the entire wall of the creche just peels away like a tin can, letting in a rush of cold night air tinged with the ozone of plas rifle fire. You look up and see it up close, face to It has no face. In place of a face, or even a head, its body just unzips, revealing a mess of writhing pink tentacles and blinking eyes. Anemone and her brother Calm are among the security squad trying wildly to divert it away from the living quarters. It smashes into the ship again and roars, calling up a terrible noise from somewhere within its seeping wet craw. All the children scream. You have to get out of here. We're gonna fight our fear and save the children. It's not a good... Not a good chance at this. I don't think we're gonna make it. We made it. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, we cleared it by 2 points. Victorious. +1 kudos. It takes a tremendous effort to keep your head. Your calm helps the children who finally listen to you and flee the creche. Your dad ushers you into the engineering wing, where you cower with the others trying not to panic. All around you, metal screams and buckles, and great tremors vibrate through the ship. Finally, after what seems like hours, the noises stop. A congruence sounds the all clear. Your dad checks the council bulletins on his holopalm. Oh no, he moans quietly. No, 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 no. The council calls an all-colony meeting to face the aftermath of the attack. In the oppressive gloom of glow, you gather near engineering with the other survivors. It's one of the few buildings still standing. The corpse of the Faceless still sits in the caved-in wreckage of the stratospheric, spilling its flaccid pink tentacles from its horrible zipper-toothed maw. It's already beginning to stink. Your mind keeps replaying that terrible moment. The Faceless rearing up and obscuring the sky. Anemone and her brother looking so small before it. Governor Udicott was killed by the smaller creatures that swarmed command during the attack. In her absence, Seek addresses the colony. The council acknowledges the bravery of the defense squad, citing their heroism in finally taking down the Faceless. If only it hadn't gotten away from them and stampeded right into the stratospheric. At least they stopped it before it got into engineering, as it would have activated the reactor and left a crater the size of an asteroid impact. Geoponics is gone, the greenhouse is destroyed, and fields trampled. After a year of suffering, starving, and only barely scraping by, you're not just back to where you started, it's even worse. Everything your mom sacrificed her for, gone in one night. The entire front half of the stratospheric has been destroyed. The living quarters, the canteen, the garrison, the lounge, Even the creche, it's all gone. It's only by some stroke of luck that people hiding in the creche weren't all killed. Seek solemnly reads the names of those who lost their lives. Too many, including Governor Udicott. You all stand for a moment of silence. You feel the weight of loss like a blow to your chest. Anemone and her family cry out when her brother Calm's name is called. Aw man, Calm died too. And their quiet sobbing continues through the silence. With the living quarters destroyed, everyone moves into the engineering wing for shelter. You're crowded into the classroom with other families. The adults try to make it seem like a sleepover, but you're all still so shaken. Anemone cries about her brother and screams at anyone who tries to comfort her. Eventually, you just ignore her grief, as painful as it is to hear her sobbing at night. What I get? Gain status in mourning. Okay, I'm still in mourning. You feel like you've been awake for days, and you'll never feel fully asleep again. You try, but you keep jerking awake, crying out in fear. Eventually, you fall asleep sitting up, held in your father's arms. Your sleep is fitful, but mercifully dreamless. Rest for now. Okay. I think that takes us to the new year. It's a heck of a new year. Everything is destroyed. Command is destroyed. Quarters are destroyed. Engineering still stands. The garrison is destroyed. Most of the walls are destroyed. And hydroponics is destroyed. Okay, we will pick this back up. Pick it back up later. Then maybe tomorrow. So a lot has happened. My mom died. Everybody hit puberty and grew up a little bit. My mom died, and Colony got destroyed by a monster attack, and the governor is dead, along with Anemone's brother, Calm, who was a character I really liked. Needless to say, things are not all right, and we are all about to starve to death. So it's quite a situation for us. Gonna go to the main menu. All right, thanks anybody who tuned in. I really appreciate it. In the meantime, take good care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.